Senator, welcome. Let me just start out by asking you, what is a socialist these days? I mean, I remember when a socialist was somebody who wanted to nationalize the railroads and
That's
things
not
like
the case
that.
today.
Is that what you have in mind?
I am proud of being the longest-serving independent in history of the United States Congress, and proud that my state of Vermont allowed me to do that. When we talk about democratic socialism, I think it's important to realize countries around the world like Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, who have had social democratic governments on and off for many, many years. And we can learn a whole lot from some of those countries. For example, the United States is the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all people as a right. And if you look at the health care systems in those countries, you know what? Not only do they cover all their people, much more cost effective than we are. We end up spending almost twice as much as they do. In terms of education, Bob, all of those countries, in Germany, Austria, many other countries, you know what they say? That in a highly competitive global economy, all people, regardless of their income, should be able to get a college education. College education is free in those countries. That makes a lot of sense to me. In terms of child care, our child care system today, talking about Mother's Day, is a total disaster. Those systems are much better. By and large, what they do is many of these countries have higher voter turnouts than we do. They have governments which do a lot better job representing their middle class rather than a billionaire class which has so much power today in our economic and political system.
Well, would you consider yourself more liberal than the most liberal Democrat?
I think it's fair to say that I am perhaps the most progressive member of the United States Senate. And by the way, though, Bob, I have made a decision to run within the Democratic primary process, and I will abide by all of the regulations that come down in each of the states. I've made that decision. That's what we're going to do.
So in states where you have to be a Democrat to run in the primary, you'll be a
I'm
Democrat.
running as a Democrat in the Democratic primary process.
Let me just ask you right now, do you really think you could beat Hillary Clinton? And if so, how and where is she vulnerable?
Okay, great question. The answer is yes. And the answer is because there is, in my view, massive dissatisfaction in this country today with corporate establishment and the greed of corporate America, unequal distribution of wealth and income which currently exists. Bob, when you have 99% of all new income generated today going to the top 1%, when you have the top 1/10 of 1% owning almost as much income as the bottom 90%, people working longer hours for low wages, and all of the money is going to the people on top, you know what? People don't think that's a good idea. In terms of the politics of America, as a result of this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision, clearly the billionaires, Koch brothers and others, are owning the political process. They will determine who the candidates are. And let me say this thing. If elected president, I will have a litmus test in terms of my nominee to be a Supreme Court justice. And that nominee will say that we are going to overturn this disastrous Supreme Court decision on Citizens United, because that decision is undermining American democracy. I do not believe that billionaires should be able to buy politicians.
Hillary Clinton says she is going to have a super PAC, says she has to do it. She doesn't like it, but she has to do it to compete. What about that?
I understand where she's coming from. I will not have a super PAC. Look, we announced a week and a half ago, Bob, and since that time, we have had 200,000 people go to BernieSanders.com to sign up for the campaign. We've had close to 90,000 contributions. Do you know what the average contribution was? It's about $43. 43 bucks for middle-class working families. So I don't think we're going to outspend Hillary Clinton or Jeb Bush or anybody else. But I think we are going to raise the kinds of money that we need to run a strong and winning campain.
Threshold question. Why would you be better at all of that than Hillary Clinton?
Well, first of all, let me say that I have known Hillary Clinton for 25 years. I respect her and I admire her. At a very strange moment in American history, and that is the problems facing us in terms of income and wealth inequality, in the fact that real unemployment is 11%, youth unemployment 17%, in terms of the fact that climate change is threatening the very foundations of our planet, that we need strong and bold leadership. I would ask people to take a look at the role that I've been playing for the last 25 years, standing up for working families. And I have had a record which is taking on the billionaire class, taking on Wall Street, taking on the private insurance companies and the drug companies.
But why, or the question was, why are you better at it? What's wrong with Hillary Clinton? Where is she vulnerable?
Well, I'll give you an example. Right now, as you know, Congress is in the midst of a debate on the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I am strongly opposed to that trade agreement because I think it follows in the footsteps of other disastrous trade agreements, which have cost us millions of jobs. In terms of foreign policy, Hillary Clinton voted for the war in Iraq. I voted, not only did I vote against it, I helped lead the effort against what I knew would be a disaster. In terms of climate change, I have helped lead the effort against the Keystone Pipeline. I'm not quite sure that Hillary Clinton has come out with a position on that. So those are just some of the areas where we differ.
Bernie Sanders, we thank you for being here. Hope to talk to you again as we get down the trail, and we'll be back in